Well, it's a pleasure to meet you all, and thank you for taking the time to introduce yourself. I am Artinese Thomas. I'm the Deputy Director of Live Free Illinois. Live Free Illinois is a faith-based organization that believes in the power of organizing. We organize over 130 congregations statewide: Rockford, Waukegan, Kankakee, South Suburbs, Chicago, Rock Island, East St. Louis, Champaign. I hope I named them all, but wherever there's violence to Black people, we look to help to develop leaders in the community, develop and train them so that they can transform their neighborhoods. Like Pastor Donovan said, we don't parachute in, we believe in leadership development so people can change their own trajectory. The main core campaigns that we work on are the biggest civil rights issues we look to end is gun violence, mass incarceration, police violence, and of course advocating for healing justice. You all may have heard of Clean Slate Passing. Live Free Illinois is one of the leading organizations that led Clean Slate past the finish line, and which was just passed this past January. I said passed way too many times. But at the root of it all, we believe in organizing. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today. So to start off, we're going to hope to understand organizing. We're going to feel comfortable with power and how to build it. Quick and simple. So, can someone name an important victory that has transformed our neighborhoods? An important victory. Yes.
Well, I think it's in the works, but the store that's gone now on 79th and Cottage Grove, and it's turned into something else, and I think that's going to be really good for Shadow. So I'm hoping that the pastor that got the church does some really good stuff.
Okay. How did that happen? How did they move to building something better is what I'm hearing, something that...
So I believe there was constant shootings right in that area. And I do remember seeing a video of some guys jumping out and there was a shooting right there and like 2 or 3 people got hit, right? Mm-hmm. And so when it closed, the city closed it and they never opened back up. Mm-hmm. And then the next thing I heard is that the pastor over on Greenwood bought that area. Mm-hmm. And from my understanding, it's going to be a grocery store, dental, I think something with like grief and counseling or something like that. So I'm just like ready for it to open and to see like how to help the community and transform their areas.
Yeah.
Pastor Hannah.
Pastor Hannah. Okay. Yeah. Can someone tell me more about how that happened though? Like from the shootings happening to it being able to be transformed to something better, what happened in between?
It took a lot of community effort. My organization, we stood on 79th Street on Fridays. Pastor Hannah, his church marched down 79th Street pretty often. And we just saturated the neighborhood with organizations, feeding people, just being out there where it was high drug traffic right there on 79th Street. Yeah. We brought attention to that. And then Pastor Hannah stepped in, led the charge, and things just started happening. After we all converged.
How'd that feel?
That felt great.
Tell me more. Like, what about it felt great?
Man, I live around the area, so I stay in Avalon Park. And so every time I ride down 79th Street, I smile.
Yeah.
It's right around my neighborhood.
You're a Black... Sorry, go ahead.
I just wanted to get ready to say something to what he's saying, because when I went over there, I didn't see that open anymore. And when I heard about that, Pastor Hannah had his hands in that. And then when I was over there and I saw how it just seemed like that part right there was a lot better than it was before when I used to go over there years ago.
Yeah.
And it seemed like it just transformed.
Yeah.
The community seemed like it's not a lot of violent things going on right in that area, like it once did. And I said, well, that's wonderful.
Wow.
A lot of people are at ease now because that's a thoroughfare where people catch the bus.
Right.
It used to be a heavy drug.
Exactly.
A very heavy drug. Yeah. And so once that cleaned up, people were comfortable. Even the restaurants and the stores in the area, they started progressing. Some of the ones that sell jerk chicken and everything. I used to go to this one spot, jerk chicken. I would never go there because there's so many people there. Yeah. And now you can walk up 79th Street.
Wow.
And even where the funeral home is at.
Right.
Yeah, because they had a shooting that took place with them. And that even got better.
Awesome. Can someone else tell me about another victory that they've seen happen in community? Yes.
I believe on King Drive, I think it's currently still being built. Is it Catholic Brooks, I believe?
Mm-hmm.
And he created a center there, like a community center.
Yep.
I know they'll be able to play like sports, and it's going to be a lot of things that they do with community service.
Yeah.
But I think it's still being built right now.
Okay. How did that happen?
But I do know that he was living on top of a roof or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of crazy, but I feel like he put in a lot of work and a lot of time to make that happen, a lot of outreach. And he's been doing it for some years, so.
Yeah, awesome.
One great thing that's coming on 79th Street, our church, last year we had the whole quarter where we had all businesses come out and set up tents and everything.
Yeah.
We had the whole 79th Street from Cottage Grove to from King Drive all the way down to Cottage Grove, where different vendors were out there, black vendors, and everybody was celebrating the neighborhood, and it was real nice. We cleaned up, a lot of stuff.
Yes.
Tell me how you feel when you hear communities voice what they want to see or what they don't want to see. Then what I heard you all say, you all rallied out there, you went out, walked, you went out and talked to businesses, and then you saw something happen. Like, tell me more about that feeling when you hear about a neighborhood in Chicago transforming, businesses growing. What are the feelings that come up for you? Dedication. Possibility. Empowerment. Hope. The hope was the word that I was thinking, right? And so how do you all feel about the opportunity for us to continue to create those moments, right? How do we feel committed to everyone having that feeling of contributing to something that can grow greater than themselves? I'll be honest, I don't do this work every day because I think I'll be dead before I get to see the fruits of the labor. I believe that the world that I want to see is possible if we organize, if we listen, if we do what you all did, and that it's possible. But I'm going to help us wrestle with some more feelings of some tension that why that doesn't happen sometimes.
I
Yes.
was just going to add to that, and it's all good, but I think what we come against a lot of times is apathy and indifference.
Yeah.
And we need to overcome that first. And as people coming out and doing it, then other people can catch on to that. But I think a lot of people are frustrated. They sit back and they just like indifference and they don't do anything. But we need to really battle that.
That's right.
We also have a lot of fear.
That's right too.
That's it.
We're going to talk a little bit about how do we combat that. Now, this is a disclaimer. Everything's not going to change because you all went to this workshop today, right? But I'm going to give you all some tools that can help. So, can someone answer this question for me? Is power good or bad? I'm sorry, say it again.
Depends on who's using it
Okay.
or how it's used.
Okay. Neither. Right.
I said
Either. Either good or bad. Okay. Any other thoughts? Okay. All right. I'm going to have us do a quick activity. Stand up if you're power hungry. Or raise your hand if you're power hungry. Okay. All right. Stand up or put your hand up if you're justice hungry. Justice hungry.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Who raised their hand for justice hungry but not power hungry? Yes, sir, in the back. I'm sorry. And can you tell me your name one more time? Mr. James, right.
Yeah.
So why justice hungry but not power hungry?
I don't believe nobody should seek power. If you go into a position, elected into a position of power, it's things like that, but just to seek. It goes to the question. Why is you seeking power? What's your purpose of wanting power? So I don't think nobody should seek the power. If it's given or people put you in a place of power, it's given. Just to seek it out. For me, outside looking in, I would think your intentions is wrong.
Okay.
But justice, I believe everyone should be treated fair.
Okay.
It should be an equal playing field for everybody. So should nobody be done wrong or misused or be at a disadvantage.
Thank you, James. Someone else who stood up for justice hungry but not power hungry. You. I'm sorry. And one more time.
Yeah, Megan.
Megan.
I just sadly have seen so many people who started out even meaning well. And then they got power and they became extremely corrupted. So I think it's hard to trust power.
Okay.
Yeah.
Understood. You had your hand up for both. Sorry, you go and then I want to ask Christopher, like, why both?
Well, as a Bible believing person, power comes from God. And whoever sits in the seat of power, he gives them free will to do what they will. But power is a responsibility. It's not to overlord, it's to care for.
Yeah.
And this is what Moses had to learn after he killed the Egyptian for beating the Hebrew. And it says in Acts 7, he thought that the Israelites would understand that God was going to deliver them through his hand. So he understood he had a certain amount of power, but he didn't know the responsibility that came with it, which is why he had to go on the backside of the desert to learn how to be a shepherd, to learn how to use the power God had given.
That's right. All right. Mr. Crispin, then I'll have come to you.
Yeah, I stood up. Well, not stood up, but I raised my hand for power hungry. I mean, I was wrestling with like power hungry because this does sound bad, but when I think about like the things that I want changed and I think that need to get done, I think it has to be through power. And if I'm thinking about the word says that he has not given us the spirit of fear, but of love and power. Right? So to what the brother is saying, power does come from God, but he has given it to us.
All right.
And so, I think, I want that power to do some good.
All right. Kaya, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So I raised my hand for justice hungry, but not power hungry. But I kind of wanted to, when I thought about it, I should have raised my hand for both, because if power is basically just like a show of strength and influence, and that you can affect change, then I'm also power hungry. I think that maybe we feel like it's a negative connotation with power because we believe the people who have been put in places of power have used it negatively. But when you really look at what power is, I don't think it's a negative thing. So I would say I'm power hungry because I'm trying to use my voice to affect change. I think that's what being powerful is. So I'm gonna have to stay both.
I love that. Look, we done now. That was it. Okay. Someone tell me what this is.
Axe.
Is an axe good or bad?
Necessary
Depends on who's using it, right? So an axe could be good if it's breaking down a door to save you and your family, correct? Axe may not be good if it's coming at my head, right? So the axe is neutral. Someone said neutral about power earlier, right? Power is neutral. But what matters is the person and the values of the person who's holding this axe. Now, if this is the axe, would you turn your back and let somebody have it, not knowing what they value?
No.
Why not?
Trust.
Trust.
I don't know their intention.
Right.
I don't know their background.
Right. You know their values. You don't know what they care about, what keeps them up at night, who they do it for, right? You don't know what they value. Would you pick it up though?
Absolutely.
Why?
Because I know my intentions. I know that I have. I know my values. I know that if I'm using it back, I'm using it for good.
Right. So we've learned as a community, even as a church, that power is a bad word. Right? Power is an icky thing. We don't like to touch it. It's for someone else. Like, you have it, I'll be in the back, I'll support you while you have the power. But we often don't feel comfortable wrestling with power ourselves, right? And I want to say that I think we're taught and we're socialized to not be comfortable with power, right? Can someone tell me the famous quote about power?
With great power comes great responsibility, and power corrupts.
Not that one. Sorry, that one.
Complete power corrupts.
Complete power corrupts, right? Or power corrupts, absolute power corrupts, absolutely, right? How does that make power sound? Like, not good. Like, power isn't a good thing, right? However, do you know we've learned that quote wrong? For years, that quote has been stated wrong. It's from this British historian from the 1800s, and this is the correct quote. Power tends to corrupt. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. How does this change the meaning about the way we think about power?
Not absolute.
Optional, not absolute. Right.
You know what's in man.
Say it one more time. I'm sorry.
I say, but if you know what's in man, and I'm gonna have to look at it from like a biblical aspect too, because when you think about Satan and him wanting to have all authority, part of it is pride too. You know, that complete power. And sometimes when we think we have it, we do tend to act like, oh, I can do this and I can do that, and it's not always positive. Some cases are, but just having that pride and being human beings and wanting to be the one in control and having that power.
Yeah. A lot of responsibility, right?
Yes.
Do you think it's a coincidence that we think of power in a negative way in that we know that quote wrong?
Yeah, I think power should be shared.
Shared power. Absolutely. We'll talk a little bit more about that. But what I want us to think about is who benefits when we are not comfortable with power? Who benefits? Right? Right.
They make everybody else feel like power is a negative thing to have, then you shy away from it while they get to collect and maintain the power.
That's right. Right.
The system in place to keep the power.
That's right. Right. We have to be honest about why we cannot leave the power on the table. We have to be honest about why we will not leave the axe in the hands of an oppressor. We have to wrestle with why we're okay with not having it ourselves and say, well, Kaya, I know Kaya cares about community. She came here today because she wants to transform her community. I'm going to let Kaya have it, right? But maybe we should share that power. Maybe we organize together and build that power. But us as a community, we have to start being comfortable with having and owning the power, because that's the only way we win. You all being able to transform your neighborhood didn't happen because somebody simply was going to do it or give it to you. What'd you all have to do? You had to build community power. Now, it wasn't a small feat, right? Like, you all had to do conversations. You all had to be consistent in the way that you show up in your presence. And that is what ultimately changed it. And I know no win I have ever seen happen has not happened without coalition. And it hasn't happened because we're all great charismatic leaders and are just great people, and it's going to happen and someone's going to hand it to us. Every single time it's going to take power to do that. And we know that power may tend to corrupt. But when we learn people's values behind their power and take the time to do real community building and relationship building, then I'll feel comfortable with any one of you all holding the axe in the room if I understand your values, right? You had your hand raised.
Yes, I just wanted to say that we do have to utilize our power. Thinking about Reverend Jackson service yesterday and what him and Martin Luther King and so many others stood for, like they utilize their powers to make change. Nobody just sat back and say, well, they mean well, or they're good people or God-fearing people. They actually had to organize and utilize their power together so change could come about in our communities, in our cities, states, and the nation. So
that's right. I'll read it because it's a little difficult. 1, no change happens without power. 2, no one will give you power. No one will give you power. You have to take it. And you can never take it alone. Right? We do not believe in lone rangers and organizing. I don't go into a legislative meeting by myself without constituents in the room. I don't go show up to a protest press conference without having my community with me. When we believe we're lone rangers and we can do it alone, that's how we get picked off. That's how we do not continue to build strong movements. That's how we don't build the generation behind us. Right? When we continue to think we can do it alone. The African proverb that I always get wrong, but I should get it right, is if you want to go far, go together. If you don't want to go far, go alone. I always get it wrong, but y'all get it. I'm going to learn it one day. And so, again, we have to be comfortable with having power. Right? Can someone read this quote for me?
Power without love is tyranny. Love without power is anemic sentimentally. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.
Somebody tell me what that means to them when they read that.
So power without love is tyranny, is having the strength to lead others, but not doing that in love, not coming from a good place with it. Just means you're trying to rule others.
Yeah. I don't know. Well, I'll just be honest. Project 2025 wasn't here because someone just had a great idea and they were like, yeah, let's do it. It was years of organizing. It was years of strategizing. We may have just heard about it 2024, but they've been working on it since 2016 or more. They understood power. And if they didn't have the power, they made the chess moves needed so that they could have the power. We wake up every day. We heard at the service yesterday, we keep waking up to a new crisis of something we thought would never happen because of the checks and balances system. But power recognizes power, and power concedes all. And that's just what it is. Now, I don't know about y'all, but the people who had written Project 2025, are you comfortable with leaving that axe on the table?
No way.
I'm gonna go a little bit further. Do you feel compelled to pick up the axe?
Yep.
All right. That means I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. The definition of power. Can someone tell me what they think the definition of power is?
The ability to influence
Mm.
and to do something.
Mm-hmm. Strength, the ability to do something.
The ability to cause change.
Ability to cause a change. Awesome. In organizing, we define power as the ability to act, create, control, or prevent change or get change. Right? It's the ability to do so. Uh-oh, I thought I had that come up on a separate slide because I was going to ask you all, what do you think the elements of power is? The two elements of power are organized money and organized people. How many of y'all are millionaires in the room today? Y'all don't got to tell me. Right? Now, what we see is people in power, people with the most money tend to have power. We're seeing the largest 1% of billionaires rule in ways that we didn't see coming, right? However, we may not have all the money. I don't have the money. I'm gonna let y'all know right now, I don't have the money. However, but I have the people, right? People power. Again, it took people power to see the change that happened on 79th. Us passing clean slate happened because of people power. It didn't happen because I had the money to buy anyone out or to say, hey, I can just pay for this to happen. Right? It's because of organized people and organized money. When people win campaigns, it's because they organize people and they organize money. Right? When we talk about elections and people getting out to vote for March 17th primary, that's organized people and organized dollars. Now, we've seen it happen in a couple different ways. Let's take the last mayoral election. We know Paul Vallis, he outpaid, or he had 3 times more money than Brandon Johnson for that campaign. However, Brandon Johnson had the people power. He organized coalitions. He organized the faith communities. He organized the young people. There was a lot of people who come together, and he came out victorious. We have to feel comfortable building our people power. Can somebody say people power?
People power.
Awesome. We organize people. We organize people by being in relationship, understanding everyone's values, and understanding each other's self-interest. Right? We are people power builders. I'm going to tell you 3 ways on how not to build power. Guns, butter, or magic. Can somebody tell me what your thoughts about guns, butter, or magic? By force. Who feels comfortable doing anything because somebody forced them to do it? Right? If you're here just because so-and-so, I'm just here to support Artinese because she's great. That's not sustainable. One day, but Artinese got it. I'm tired of showing up on Saturdays with her every time she wants to. I'm going to do my own thing. That's not sustainable, right? No one wants to be forced to do anything, right? What about butter? Somebody tell me about butter. Yeah. Yeah. Smoothing up on people. The greasing of the palms, right? Quid pro quo, right? Still not sustainable, right? Not a sustainable way to keep people at the table. When we're talking about ending gun violence, mass incarceration, advocating for healing justice, and eradicating people from trauma, that's not going to keep people on. That's a long fight, right? What about magic?
Expect this to happen.
Right.
It's not come together.
Right. Miracles gonna happen. Right. We have to be active in that, right? Sometimes the church at its worst moves this way. We're gonna pray that it's gonna be better. We have to do both ends. We have to stand on balanced legs with that, right? I do every day, my job is to help congregations build justice ministry. So I'm developing people how to organize and how to put their prayers into action. Right?
Faith without works is dead.
Absolutely. Right? And so these are the ways that I do not recommend you build power. I recommend building power because we are people power builders through relationship. It only happens through relationship. When you know who you're fighting for, with, or against, it makes you strategize a little bit differently about how you hold that power, right? For instance, I organize over 130 congregations across the state. When we passed Clean Slate, they told us no, we weren't going to pass it. I had people from my congregations on the south, west, and north side who said, Artinese, what happened at that legislative meeting that we all went to? I have people to answer for and answer to. And I've developed them to ask me the hard questions. I'm not going into any meeting saying, yeah, we'll just do whatever you say, knowing that my community has concessions against that, right? And so you have to be in relationship. I know that I have different stakes at the table when I'm fighting for Miss Maisel on the west side who's lost her son to gun violence, that I have to keep pushing harder. When I think about my Aunt Paulette who's lost all of her children to gun violence, I have to think strategically and differently about the way I advocate for gun violence in the rooms, right? So it's about a relationship, right? Culturally, we're like, who over there before we get over there, right? We want to know, who are we in relationship with, right? Chicago is a relationship building city. Who you know? Who's your auntie? Who's your grandmother? Where you grow up, right? We want to be in relationship, and that helps us to build trust. This work does not continue to build without building trust. But if what a lot of folks do, and I have paid organizers underneath me at my staff, no one wants to take the time to build the relationships. No one wants to take the time to understand the communities. Spend enough time to understand the communities and have the consistency to come back. We only build power through relationship. So I want to talk a little bit about public versus private relationships, right? And relationships are important because, again, when it came to Clean Slate, and I'll talk quickly about that, we were advocating for that bill for 5 years. 5 years without a bill number. We were able to get a bill number the last 72 hours of the last May session. It didn't pass, had to go to veto session. We kept hearing a lot of legislators say, no, we're not going to pass this. This isn't the time. This isn't the time. This isn't the time. So I went back to my base. I went back to people who cared about it, said, what y'all want to do? They said, we want to bring 300 people to the state capitol when they're not expecting it in nothing but Clean Slate t-shirts. Some people said, I can't go down there, but I'll send texts. We sent over 80,000 texts. Some people said, I can't do that, but I can help share the petition. We organized over 100,000 people during veto session, which helped Clean Slate pass with a supermajority and bipartisan effort, because people power is what made that happen. It wasn't because of someone's great political will in the state house. It was because people power. In fact, when those legislators were telling us, no, we didn't want to do it, I had real relationships. I didn't have to go into my data. I knew exactly whose state rep that was. And I said, hey, and I called 8 pastors. Can you ask your congregation to send this petition that will send a letter straight to the legislator to ask them to pass this? They all said yes. Cool. Can I get you all to sign onto a letter at why you want to do this? It was people power. Because again, we talked about the elements of power: organized money, organized people. Legislators, what do they care about?
Numbers, that's the number.
Votes, right? Votes. They care about votes. And what we know is that oftentimes legislators win these election races by very slim chances, like by 1,000 sometimes. We all in this room, if we all reach 10 people, can reach 1,000 people. It's nothing for us to be able to organize the people we love and who we're in relationship with. But that's what the politicians care about, the votes. And if we know that we're in relationship with the people in the community, they have to listen to their constituents. Like I said, I never go into a legislative meeting without a constituent in the room. Because I'm not from that community, but I know what they care about. So I want to help facilitate them to build the power that they need to and hold that elected official accountable. It's about accountability. So public versus private. Private relationship. My brother. Great guy. He's awesome. He'll promise me to do 17 things and he won't do none of them. But guess what? I love him. I'm going to forgive him. We'll be back on Sunday dinner, right? Public relationship, right? I'm in public relationship with Trey Bosley, where it's rooted in accountability. When Trey says he's going to do something, because I understand what he values, I understand his self-interest, and we have a mutually aligned self-interest, that's how we're able to get things done. If I came in here and said, I can't promise you that I'm going to do what I'm saying I'm going to do, then what good am I in this room, right? It has to be rooted in accountability. Public relationships are rooted in accountability, right? Now, what they say? Show me who you're around and I understand your value. Show me who you're with, right? I want to say that I'm with people in community who care about each other, who care about their future, and who are willing to do something about it. If you look at the people I bring myself around, I would say everyone in my corner does that, right? So we have to build enough public relationships that are rooted in accountability so that we can get things done, so that we can win. We don't build power because, again, I cannot be accountable to the things that I say. Because, again, in order for us to win policy wins or even community wins, we have to be in relationship. We have to be in relationship. Uh-oh. Now that we know that power isn't a bad word, right? How do you all feel about power when we're thinking about building it through community? Yes, sir.
Well, like you said in the slide before, public and private relationships is based on building those public relationships. One of the things that we do since I'm with the faith-based organization, we connect with them publicly. We connect with all of them. We just had a podcast where we did an interview with 4 different judges that were running in different sub-circuits. So we connect that way. But the private side of it is we connect with the community. We go into community and we stay there. We don't just leave.
That's
we
right.
build up relationships with the people in the community.
Yeah.
They see us. When they see our red hoods and our shirts on, they know we're here.
Yeah.
And they gravitate to it. And they love to see that. They love to have people have that relationship. And then we go to different places like the homeless encampments.
Yeah.
We have relationships with people that sometimes don't even speak or talk to people every day. You know? So people are just feel like they're just invisible. Sometimes.
Right.
But if you go in there and you build up that relationship with them, you talk to them, if you're consistently there, then you got their back.
That's right. That's right. And organizing, we say it takes 3 passes before someone will say yes, right? I have to meet you 3 times, greet you, see you as a person before I can get you to come and do something, right? Like it takes that consistency like you named, right? And we saw this in the Bible. We saw Jesus in the desert be tempted by the devil's guns, butter, and magic, right? Right? But instead, Jesus chose his relationship with his Father, right? And he chose faithfulness to the relationship, which laid the foundation for his ministry, right? We do a training at Live Free Illinois where we help congregations just battle between mercy and justice. Our congregations love charity, which we need, right? As social worker by trade. But we also have to address the root causes. But again, we don't do that without being in relationship, because if we don't know what the people are going through and we're not on the ground enough to understand it, then how do we advocate, right? And so what do we see Jesus do from day one when he leaves that desert? He goes and builds relationships.
Yes.
He goes and builds relationships. He encourages others to go do so, right? By twos, right? So this is something we've seen him do. Jesus was a revolutionary. Jesus was an organizer, right? And so again, our public relationships aren't necessarily about depth, right? It's not about being liked. It's not about unconditional love. It's about how we move and our shared values together and how we want to embrace the world through our accountability. Right? And again, this is the only way we build power that's reciprocal, when there's accountability in the room, right? And so, again, how are we feeling about power? Now that we know we have to do it together. Be super committed in building power through community that you feel protected, right? Someone who goes out and puts out all the fires by themselves, I worry for a person like that, right? I'm gonna send them to Corinne's workshop for burnout, right? Like, right? So this training's much longer, and there's a lot of more hands-on trainings that we do with this, but this was our Reader's Digest version of just being comfortable with power. For those who didn't stand up for for power hungry and stood up for justice hungry, I wonder if you're really justice hungry if you're not power hungry. Because we don't get what we want unless we build power, right? One of my executive director from Live Free National, he always says, an organized lie can always be a disorganized truth. An organized lie can always beat out a disorganized truth. Michael McBride. What we're seeing right now in our world is a lot of organized lies, strategically organized lies. I think we all know what the truth is of our neighborhoods, the people we love, the people we care about. But are we organized to do something about it?
So can I say that building power in relationships to achieve justice?
Yeah, absolutely. I believe that's where it starts. None of these things happen if we're not in relationship, we're not in community. If I don't know what Kaya cares about, I can't fight for Kaya. Because then at that point, it's not organizing, it's not mobilization, it's manipulation. I'm just doing whatever, We're really having to look that in the eye and in terms of what are we going to prioritize? What are we going to do? And so I'm going to ask you all, oh, my QR code didn't come up. Who's power hungry? All right, because the first time we only had 2 people. Awesome. And so I had a call to action. If you want to continue to build these skills, I'm hosting a Midwest Regional Boot Camp this Thursday and Friday, the 12th and 13th. There's supposed to be a QR code that pops up. My QR code is not working. I wonder why. And what we're looking to do is we're trying to train, there we go, our congregations, our CVI leaders, our people directly impacted on how should we respond to this moment of authoritarianism? How do we start responding to this differently by teaching and developing people in our communities from across the state the tools to resist? How do we help people to just learn to pick up the axe? Just pick it up. Don't leave the axe, don't leave the power. But what are the tangible tools that you could take back to your block club, take back to your organization, back to your community, to your church, to say we can change and we can do something about it? And half of the battle is getting people to know that you are powerful. You all are powerful. And I believe that once we bring all of our power together under mutual self-interest and accountability, that we can win it all. Like I mentioned at the beginning, I do not believe that the world I want to see is impossible. I believe through organizing and real community development that we can make this happen. I hope that I was compelling enough for you all to go pick up your power, to go share your power with someone else, and to build it together. And that's all I have.